YouTube, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Shayna J here. So today I'm going to show you guys how I replace the frontal on a wig. So if you have an old wig, or if you have a wig that the frontal's looking crazy or is balding, or you just need to get that whole frontal together, but the bundles are still good and the wig construction is still valid, I'm just going to show you guys how you can replace your old frontal without having to deconstruct the entire wig unit that you made. So as you can see, all I'm doing is taking some T-pins and I'm pinning down the wig to the mannequin head so it's not moving and sliding around, and I'm pinning it behind the frontal so that I can go ahead and work on separating it from the wig unit. So as you can see here, all I'm doing is separating the frontal from the tracks in the back. So you're just going to take a scrunchie, or you're going to take, a clip or whatever you have. You're going to make sure all the tangles are brushed out, and you're just going to separate the frontal from the tracks that start right behind it. So right here you can see that I am showing you guys the track that connects the frontal and the rest of the wig. So I'm showing you guys that because you're going to want to cut that part out. The reason why you're going to cut that is because we're going to end up sewing the new frontal right in the space between the track that I'm going to cut out and the new frontal. I hope that makes sense. I'm not sure if it does, but basically you're going to see what I'm doing here. You're just going to cut the frontal that closes the wig out. You're going to cut that track out. If you sew a little bit more farther apart than I do, then you're gonna have to add this track back in. But as you can see, I'm cutting that track away, and the space between the other tracks and the frontal is very, very, very small. That's because I sew really, really closely together, so all my wigs lay super flat and super that's how I get all of the bundles in my wigs. I sew really closely together. So as you can see, even though I took a track out, the space between the track and the space between the rest of the wig and the frontal is very small. So that's what you want in order to go ahead and sew your new frontal down. And like I said before, if you sew a little bit further apart than I do, or you were a little bit more spacious towards the front, that's okay. You can just add that track back when you're finished. I won't be adding this particular track back because when I sew the new frontal on top, it's going to lay really, really flat and close together. So I won't need to add that track back. So now I'm just going to show you how we're going to place the frontal. I'm not sure if I said this already, but I think I did, but the hair and the bundles and the frontal come from the same company. The company is AMNA Blends. I've had this hair for over a year, and I made this wig up over a year ago, and the bundles are still going strong. I just needed to replace the frontal. So anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to place the frontal literally right over the old frontal. So you're going to take as many T-pins as you need, and you're going to just literally place the old frontal, you're going to place the new frontal right over the old frontal. Now this part is probably the easiest part. You just have to make sure you place it down and size it correctly. It should literally be placed exactly over the old frontal. So as you can see right here, I pinned it perfectly, and you're going to do the same thing to the other side. Now don't be fooled, this is edited, so it did take me a couple tries to get the frontal aligned with the old frontal, but it didn't take me too long. You just have to make sure you measure it up correctly against the old frontal. So yeah, you're just going to put the T-pins in place, and you're just going to make sure that the old frontal is completely covered with the new frontal. So this part is pretty self-explanatory. You're just going to take your needle and thread, and you're going to sew the new frontal right over the old frontal. Now what I mean is, what you're going to do is you're going to take the track, the last track, the one that was spaced right behind the track that I took out. You're going to take that track, you're going to put the needle through that track, and then you're going to pretty much skip over the old frontal and put the needle through the new frontal. I hope that makes sense, but I'm showing you here. If you just look closely, I'm putting the needle through the track in the back, and then I'm pulling it through the new frontal, and I'm looping it around 3 times, and then I'm tying it. This is how I stitch literally the entire wig. That's why my wigs are really secure, and that's why they lay really flat, because pretty much each stitch is a knot in itself. So even if something would, like if the end were to somehow come loose, the wig wouldn't fall apart, because each stitch is literally knotted within itself. So for the rest of the clip, I'm going to pretty much show you guys my technique of how I pretty much sew the entire wig. So one more time, I'm just going to explain to you, and then you can pretty much just watch for the rest of this step. You're just going to sew through the last track, and then you're going to sew through the new frontal, and you should pretty much be completely missing the old frontal. You should not be sewing through the old frontal at all. You should pretty much be skipping that old frontal and just sewing the new frontal onto the last track, so that you can pretty much close out the wig. So once I finish sewing it, and once I finish this step, I'll come back with a commentary on the rest of the frontal process. So real quick, I wanted to hop in and show you guys my nails. This is the same day. I just went to go get my nails done because they needed to be done, and I'm dead in love with this color. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like so far, how the stitching is. As you can see, I have made the camera, I made the angle for this shot a little bit clearer. That's why I wanted to come back with a little bit better of commentary and explaining exactly what I'm doing. So as you can see, I'm sewing through the last track, and then I'm sewing through the new frontal. So you can clearly see a lot better, and that's why I wanted to come back and explain it one more time, just in case you didn't get it from the angle that I had the camera in before. I just wanted to show you guys a little bit better of a view. I can't even speak. I wanted to show you guys a better view of what I was doing. So as you can see, I'm sewing really closely together. That's how I get my frontals to lay really flat. So yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and continue to sew the entire frontal down, and then I'll be back with the next step. Alright, so boom, next step, we have completed sewing the new frontal over the old frontal. So now, you know how when you originally make the wig and you have to cut out the material from underneath, you're gonna do the same thing with this, except you're cutting the old frontal out. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna cut really closely. Do not cut the stitching, because if you do, the frontal wig is gonna fall apart. So you want to cut really closely, and you're just gonna cut out the old frontal from underneath the new frontal, exactly how you would if you were to be making a brand new wig and you're cutting the material out from under the frontal. You're going to do the same thing with this, except it's going to be an old frontal underneath it instead of the wig cap material. So yeah, you're just going to cut that right out. I'm sorry that this frame was shot a little bit weird. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to show you guys, and it was kind of like out of frame, but hopefully my explanation explained it enough where you can see enough and also understand that I'm just pretty much cutting the old frontal out from underneath. And yeah, that's all that it was to it. I did bleach the knots on this frontal, but I did not pluck it yet. But yeah, this is pretty much the entire wig. As you can see, we have a lot more parting room. We have a fresh hairline to start, so we can go ahead and customize it how we want. And I'm just showing you guys how I perfectly bleached these knots. And yeah, that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!